I'd like to call the meeting of September 27, 2011 of the Cuyahoga County Council to order. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Mr. Greenspan?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Present.
Mr. Brady?
Present.
Mr. Germana?
Here.
Mr. Gallagher?
Here.
Mr. Schron?
Here.
Ms. Conwell?
Present.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Ms. Simon? Ms. Conley?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. If we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For a moment of silent meditation this evening, I'd like each of us to call on our own personal reflections. All right, Madam Clerk, has anyone signed in for public comment?
Madam Chair, no one has signed in to speak to council.
Thank you. The item 6, the minutes of the meeting of September 13th, 2011 are included in your packets. Has everyone had an opportunity to read those minutes? And if so, is there a motion to approve?
Second.
It's moved by Mr. Greenspan and seconded by Mr. Jones. Is there any comment? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Before we go to the message of the county executive, I would like to take an opportunity to recognize Mr. Bob Ivory. This will be his last meeting with us. I had to check with my fellow historian, Mr. Miller, and verify. Horace Greeley said, "Go west, young man," and Mr. Ivory is going west and leaving our fair state, diminishing our population, which is not good. But we wish him well, and we thank you for your service, and we look forward to hearing great things from you in your new home. All right, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to be quite brief this evening. First of all, I just want to echo what you said about Bob. Although there's something, Horace Greeley said, "Go west, young man," but he was referring, I think, to Western Pennsylvania. I kid you not. I'm not kidding. I think he was. I know he wasn't talking about as far west as unfortunately Bob is going. But we're going to miss him. He's a real gentleman. He's a class act. He's been here since actually before day one. He was there the day after the election, helping with the transition. And I think he's, as I've said many times, it's been a cordial and pleasant experience between council and the executive branch. And I think Bob brings a certain style to that that's partly responsible for that. So he's going to be missed, and I'm sure he's going to do very well out in the San Francisco area. Just a couple things real quick. One is something that Bob and I have actually been working on. I just want council to know that this is a project, it's kind of a swan song project that Bob is working on before he leaves. But there have been so many community groups that have talked about it and council people that have expressed an interest in it, and that is trying to develop a more comprehensive strategy for the reentry community. And Bob and I are working on some of those concepts right now, and he's allowed to leave before we're done. But I just want you to know that's something we're working on. We hear it repeatedly. We know it's a huge population that's already here. With some of the sentencing reform that's going on in Columbus, there's likely to be fewer people incarcerated, and we've really got some amazing statistics that were described in a recent county stat meeting that we had in terms of the recidivism rate, the comparative recidivism rate between a formerly incarcerated individual who goes through and completes a program and those that do not. And the difference is the gap there is everywhere from around 5% recidivism rate for those who go through a program like that, like the ones that are run by Oriana House, for instance, to 40% for those that do not. So it's a huge difference. If there's an economic reason and there's a moral imperative as well, and Bob and I are talking about, we're going to be presenting some stuff, and I'm sure he's going to still contribute even when he's in a different time zone. So I just wanted council to know that. One other thing quickly that I just wanted to mention, and that Council President and I had the privilege to address the Mount Pleasant Community Development Corporation annual meeting the other day, Mount Pleasant Now, and it was a great event and a great organization. I just wanted the council to know, because all of you represent districts that have community development corporations in them. One of the things that I've learned through my interaction with Mount Pleasant Now is that most of these organizations have economic plans, and most of them haven't really incorporated that planning process into a county economic development plan. So one of the things that our development department is working on, in addition to other issues with community development corporations, but we're trying to not just be a one-stop shop for businesses, which we are, but also to try to be the one place where kind of all these economic development plans can hopefully be coordinated in some fashion. So that's something that we're actually talking about, having kind of a convention of sorts of all of these community development corporations, so that they can share their plans and ideas, and we can figure out how they all fit together. That concludes my report. Thank you very much, Madam President.
All right, thank you. Mr. Schrein, for a motion.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Pursuant to Rule 6B, I wish to add in an item into item 12, Resolution 2011-0276. This is at the also at the suggestion of the administration that we add this in. So I move that we amend item 12 to add this resolution in.
Second.
All right, moved by Mr. Schrein, second by Mr. Miller. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The 0276 is added to item 12. Item 8, consideration of a motion of council for first reading and referral to committee. Madam Clerk.
Motion number 2011-0047, a motion confirming the county executive's appointment of individuals to serve on the Cuyahoga Regional HIV Health Services Planning Council and declaring the necessity that this motion become immediately effective. The appointees are listed on the agenda as items 8A 1 through 29.
Is it? Yeah. Mhm. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm waiting for a motion. We're going to refer this to the Human Resource Committee. And I just like an explanation. There's 29 people. How many people are on this task force altogether? Does anyone know? Yes, Mr. Boyle.
It's a fairly large group, and unfortunately, they're all coming through at one time. And the body consists, Rick, is this the entire body? Yeah, the entire
Okay, we were
body.
under the impression it was more coming, so this is the entire body. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then they'll be referred to Human Resources Committee, and they'll follow up on the questioning on the other committee members. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, item 9, consideration of a ordinance of council for first reading and referral to committee.
Ordinance number 2011-0047, an ordinance prohibiting the use of pesticides on Cuyahoga County parks, open space parcels, and public rights-of-way, and regulating the use of pesticides by entities receiving county funds, and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
This now referred to sustainability, environment and sustainability. Did you want to be heard on this, or just refer to committee?
Madam President, thank you. Councilman Rogers and I are scheduling in his committee on Friday a 1 o'clock committee meeting where we're going to have several speakers addressing this. So if anybody's interested, we have several people coming in to speak to this, including Chris Ronayne, who's here today in the audience. So if anybody wants additional information, please come.
And that'll be Friday at 11:30?
1 o'clock.
On Friday. Okay, thank you.
Madam President.
Mr. Miller?
Madam President, I would request to be added as a co-sponsor to the legislation.
And I would like to be added also.
All right, thank you. On consideration of a resolution for first reading adoption under suspension of the rules, Rules 9D and 12A. This is asked for suspension of the rules requiring 3 regular meetings. Ms. Simon?
Thank you very much, Madam President. I move that we suspend the rules.
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The rules are suspended. Item 0285.
Resolution number 2011-0285, a resolution amending the 2011 annual appropriation measure by providing for additional fiscal appropriations from the general fund and other funding sources, for appropriation transfers between budget accounts and for cash transfers between budgetary funds in order to meet the budgetary needs of various county departments, offices, and agencies, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Rogers. I just have one question on this. On item, I guess it's the first one on the list I got in the Veterans Service Commission. They're asking for an additional $79,000. Can I get an explanation of that, please? I mean, the amount that they are given is set by statute, and I'm kind of confused why we're getting them additional. We're asking for additional monies.
Good evening, members of council. Matt Rubino, OBM. Madam Chair, your question about the Veteran Services item. And when we developed their budget last year, we made a reduction in one of the budget lines. So they were essentially below the statutory requirement, or the cap, the 0.25 mil cap by that amount. They requested that we restore them. I mean, even though they won't need the appropriation, they're actually projected to have a surplus of over $800,000 this year. We were behooved to add that additional appropriation item, get them at that 0.25 mil cap.
So you tell me that they have $800,000 that they are not expending for the needy veterans of this county?
Madam Chair, they're currently projected as a second quarter to be under budget by approximately $800,000, yes.
And they didn't take any furlough days and they got raises, is that correct?
Madam Chair, not that I'm aware of.
And there's $800,000 that they were not able to give away to these needy veterans who served our country?
That's the current trend.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Most of the surplus is in the client services line, so yes.
All right, thank you. All right, any other discussion, other questions? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 11, consideration of resolution for first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution number 2011-0286, a resolution amending BOCC Resolution number 101404, dated April 20, 2010, which declared that public convenience and welfare requires resurfacing of Belvoir Boulevard from Fairmount Boulevard to Mayfield Road in the cities of South Euclid and University Heights by adding the city of Shaker Heights, finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement, and authorizing the county executive to enter into agreements of cooperation with said municipalities in connection with said project.
This matter will be referred to the Public Works Committee. Item 0287.
Resolution number 2011-0287, a resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into an agreement of cooperation with City of Cleveland for replacement of Cedar Road Bridge number 229.
This now referred to Public Works.
Resolution number 2011-0288, a resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into an agreement with Cuyahoga County District Board of Health in the amount not to exceed $525,856.23 for administration of the wellness program for the period July 1, 2011 through June 30, 2012.
This now referred to Health and Human Services.
Resolution number 2011-0289, a resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into an agreement with Cuyahoga County Department of Senior and Adult Services in the amount not to exceed $70,000 for direct care services for the Ryan White HIV/AIDS Treatment Modernization Act Part A program for the period March 1, 2011 through February 29, 2012, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This will refer to Health and Human Services. Item 12, committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading under suspension of the rules, Rule 9D. These matters have been referred to committee. Ms. Simon?
Yes, Madam President, I move that we suspend the rules.
Second.
All right, moved by Ms. Simon and seconded by Mr. Gallagher. Any discussion on suspension of the rules? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The rules are suspended. Item 0272.
Resolution number 2011-0272, a resolution amending the 2011 annual appropriation measure by providing for additional fiscal appropriations from the general fund and other funding sources, for appropriation transfers between budget accounts, and for cash transfers between budgetary funds in order to meet the budgetary needs of various county departments, offices, and agencies, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
I moved by Mr. Miller, seconded by Ms. Simon. Any discussion on this? Mr. Miller, did you want to have any discussion?
Madam President, my colleagues, this item was referred to committee 2 weeks ago. We heard it in Finance Committee. We received a fuller explanation. We did hold out one item, which was the item related to the Inspector General, and we have a lot of questions about the process of allocating overhead expenditures. We are going to have a presentation on that general subject on October 17th, the first full day of the budget hearings. And also, we'll continue work on resolving the issues revolving around the Inspector General's office.
And this came up just per accident or per chance for the Inspector General. And the question came up as to why these funds are allocated this way. So every agency and department has a chargeback for the space and the maintenance, and we were just unfamiliar with it. And yours, Ms. Bird is here. Yours just happened to be the first one that came up. And so, as Mr. Miller says, we're going to get a thorough explanation of it. And it's always been done this way, and we just kind of get some information. Should we continue to do it this way? So we're not picking on you for this one.
Madam President, I just wanted to extend a thank you to Councilman Miller for actually bringing that into committee and enabling us to be able to identify a potential cost savings down the road with regard to the chargebacks. Perhaps that might be something we can do. And again, want to say that it just happened to be the IG's office that brought that to our attention. So thank you, Councilman Miller.
Thank you.
Right, and there's chargebacks for the county for all kinds of services that I was unaware of. So we'll just get a further explanation during this process. Is there any other questions or discussions? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 0275.
Resolution number 2011-0275, a resolution approving right-of-way plans as set forth in preliminary right-of-way Plat M5010 for the reconfiguration of the Warrensville Center Road, Van Aken Boulevard, Chagrin Boulevard, Northfield Road intersection in the city of Shaker Heights and the village of Highland Hills, authorizing the county executive to acquire the necessary right-of-way, finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Mr. Rogers. Any discussion? This is in my district, and I'm convinced this is probably the most confusing intersection on the face of the earth.
And yes, Madam Chair, it is a six-lane intersection, and transforming this into a 4-lane intersection will really improve safety.
I don't know how you do it when you have to bring a funeral through there, because it's got to be totally confusing.
It's difficult. It is difficult, yes.
All you West Siders don't know what we're talking about.
Madam Chair, we were thoroughly briefed, and the plan looks good and makes a lot of sense. So I want to thank the Public Works Coordinator for informing the committee and explaining how well this is going to work.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have the resolution is adopted. Now we go to Mr. Schron's item 0276.
Resolution number 2011-0276, a resolution authorizing a Neighborhood Stabilization Program 2 loan in the amount not to exceed $1,900,000 to UCI CET LLC for a project located at 12501 Euclid Avenue, East Cleveland, authorizing the Department of Development Deputy Chief or Director to execute all documents required in connection with said loan on behalf of the county executive and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Schrein and seconded by Mr. Rogers. Any discussion?
Yes, I think that we're going to look back on today as one of the cornerstones as we see the Circle East moving out, and this is going to be a key element as you see this project going forward. It will then be a link for retail, for housing, for commercial businesses. We had a very nice presentation from the developer, from Mr. Chris Hornane. Also, it's important to note that PNC Bank, one of our lead banks here in town, is actually taking an active role. People always ask about where's the banking community, and they are taking the lead position in regards to this. And so I think it's really an excellent vision of how you can take the University Circle and then start to grow on that as being the foundation to launch the next wave of the University Circle success.
All right, any discussion? All right.
Just say that, this project has the potential to really redefine the border between University Circle and East Cleveland and potentially spark an era of redevelopment in that area and in that neighborhood.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like my name added as a co-sponsor.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, I as well.
Miller, Brady, Germana, Conley, Conwell, Jones, Simon. All right.
I'm adding Miller, Germana, Brady, Conwell, Jones, Simon.
Conley.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, item 0277.
Resolution number 2011-0277, a resolution authorizing awards on requisition number 20292 to various providers for group health care benefits for county employees and their eligible dependents, including medical and pharmacy benefit management services for the period January 1, 2012 through December 31, 2014, authorizing plan structures of the standard benefit plans as recommended by the Cuyahoga County Human Resource Commission, authorizing the county executive to enter into contracts consistent with said awards and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective. The providers are Medical Mutual LLC in the amount not to exceed $92,093,992, United Healthcare Insurance Company in the amount not to exceed $94,194,221, Kaiser Foundation Health Plan of Ohio in the amount not to exceed $26,113,651, and Caremark PCS Health LLC Prescription Drug Plan in the amount not to exceed $33,070,329.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Rogers and second by Ms. Simons. Any discussion on this?
Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Miller?
We held an extensive discussion on this legislation in both Finance and Budgeting and Human Resources Committee. This legislation, in terms of our health care for our employees, moves us in the direction of requiring a little bit more of a contribution from our employees to their health care. It also continues the process of encouraging participation in Metro Health's plan and also makes greater use of wellness incentives. And I recommend approval of the legislation.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Yeah, Mr. Brady?
I'd like my name added also.
Jones? Simon? Conwell? You got them? Okay. All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. All right, item 0278.
Resolution number 2011-0278, a resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into amendments to contracts with various providers for residential treatment services for the Youth and Family Community Partnership Program for the period January 1, 2010 through December 31, 2011, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for additional funds and for decreases as printed on the agenda.
Move to adopt.
By Ms. Simon and seconded by Ms. Conwell. Is there any discussion?
Madam President? Yes. Just a comment that we did review this in committee last week in Justice Affairs, and just this simply as an adjustment to the contracts, considering the needs at this point in time. So there's going to be some decreases and increases, and just depending on what's needed. So it's just an adjustment.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Item,
Madam President, if my name is not on that,
you'd like to be added?
I'd add it.
Mr. Jones would like to be added to 0278. All right, item 0279.
A resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into an amendment to contract number CE 1100228 with AIDS Task Force of Greater Cleveland Incorporated for medical and social support services for the HIV Emergency Relief Grant Program in connection with the Ryan White HIV/AIDS Treatment Extension Act of 2009 for the period March 1, 2011 through February 29, 2012, to change the terms effective July 1, 2011, and for additional funds in the amount of $126,944, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Brady and seconded by Ms. Conwell. Is there any discussion on this matter?
Madam Chairman,
Mr. Brady?
insomuch as the next several resolutions are related and were heard at different times in Health and Human Services, if the director could just come forward briefly, remind the committee why we have 4 or 5 different parts to this.
Madam Chair and members of council, Rick Warner from the Office of Health and Human Services on behalf of the Ryan White program. As the councilman said, Chairman Brady from the Human Services Committee, this resolution and I think 4 or 5 after it all are part of the Ryan White program, which serves folks living with HIV and AIDS in Cuyahoga County, and actually a regional area. We are actually the fiscal agent for a number of counties in northeastern Ohio. The reason that you see that these are done separately and for different beginning time periods is that all this funding is federal funding that comes through the Health Resources Services Administration of the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, and unfortunately we get our grants in pieces, so they don't all of our money for the Ryan White fiscal year does not come in at the same time, and therefore we are forced to bring amendments to you and new awards to you. All of these have been procured through an RFP process, but we bring them to you at different times. The chairman of the Health and Human Services Committee was willing to aggregate these and hear them all together, but you'll notice in the new resolutions that got introduced tonight for referral to committee, there's yet another one that's going to Chairman Brady's committee for this same purpose. We'd like to be able to say that we could bring them all together in one big package, but the way we get funding from the federal government for this particular program doesn't allow us to do that.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Resolution's adopted. Item 0280.
Resolution number 2011-0280, resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into an amendment to contract number CE 1100239 with Cleveland Clinic Foundation for medical and social support services for the HIV Emergency Relief Grant Program in connection with the Ryan White HIV/AIDS Treatment Extension Act of 2009 for the period March 1, 2011 through February 29, 2012, to change the terms effective July 1, 2011, to change the scope of services effective September 1, 2011, and for additional funds in the amount of $230,220.50, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Brady, seconded by Mr. Miller. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 0281.
Resolution number 2011-0281, a resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into amendments to contracts with various providers for medical and social support services for the HIV Emergency Relief Grant Program in connection with the Ryan White HIV/AIDS Treatment Extension Act of 2009 for the period March 1, 2011 through February 29, 2012, to make budget line item revisions and for additional funds, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the contract numbers, providers, and in the amounts as printed on the agenda, items G1 through 3.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Brady, seconded by Ms. Conwell. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have. The resolution is adopted. Item 0282.
Resolution number 2011-0282, a resolution authorizing an award on requisition number 18597 to Mercy Regional Medical Center in the amount of $252,681 for medical and social support services for the HIV Emergency Relief Grant Program in connection with the Ryan White HIV/AIDS Treatment Extension Act of 2009 for the period March 1, 2011 through February 29, 2012, authorizing the county executive to enter into a contract consistent with said award, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Brady, seconded by Ms. Conwell. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 0283.
Resolution number 2011-0283, a resolution authorizing an award on requisition number 18597 to University Hospitals of Cleveland in the amount of $466,039 for medical and social support services for the HIV Emergency Relief Grant Program in connection with the Ryan White HIV/AIDS Treatment Extension Act of 2009 for the period March 1, 2011 through February 29, 2012, authorizing the county executive to enter into a contract consistent with said award, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Schron, seconded by Ms. Conwell. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Item 0284.
Resolution number 2011-0284, a resolution authorizing the county executive to enter into a contract with Starting Point in the amount not to exceed $1 million for program services for the out-of-school time program for MyCom for the period October 1, 2011 through September 30, 2012, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Adopt.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Brady, seconded by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Item 13.
I'd like my name added to that resolution.
Jones. All right, item 13, committee reports and consideration of an ordinance for second reading under suspension of rules, Rule 9D. Ms. Simon?
Madam President, I move to suspend the rules.
Second.
All right, moved by Ms. Simon, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The rules are suspended. This matter has been to committee, and so we're just suspending for the third reading. Madam Clerk.
Ordinance number 2011-0046, an ordinance approving the Cuyahoga County Purchasing Policy and Procedure Manual effective October 1st, 2011, in accordance with the county's Contracting and Purchasing Procedures Ordinance number 2011-0014 as amended, and amending sections 4.5 and 4.6 of said Contracting and Purchasing Procedures Ordinance to comply with this ordinance, and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Jones. Is there any discussion on this?
Madam President.
Miller.
Madam President, my colleagues, one of the things that the original contracting and procurement ordinance required was for the administration to review the purchasing policy and procedure manual and to align it with the contracting and procurement ordinance, and they did so, and it's a fine piece of legislation, and the reason for the requested suspension is to allow the Office of Procurement and Diversity to begin preparation for the training of employees on the procedures. That training is supposed to begin just a day or two after what would be our next meeting of council. So if we pass it tonight, it will help them get written materials prepared in advance and be better prepared for that training. I ask for your approval. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Madam President,
All right, add Mr. Germana.
and mine.
All right. And Mr. Rogers.
Should be there.
Mr. Jones already on there. All right.
Hang on
All
a
right.
second. We're adding Germana, Jones, Miller.
Yes.
Anyone else? Rogers? Thank you.
All right, is there, item 14, are there any miscellaneous committee reports? Mr. Miller?
Madam President, the Finance and Budgeting Committee will meet at our regularly scheduled time on Monday, October 3rd, and at that meeting, we're going to hear a pretty comprehensive presentation about the county's foreclosure prevention program. So anyone who's interested in that, I would encourage you to attend. Thank you.
Madam President?
You say October 3rd at 10?
No, 1 o'clock.
Okay.
1 o'clock.
Ms. Simon?
Just a report that Human Resource and Justice Affairs met in committee to discuss domestic partner benefits, and we had a robust conversation from those who attended with their comments, and we'll continue on, and perhaps this Friday we may meet to continue the discussion, but I'm not sure yet, depending on the survey and the availability of my co-chairwoman.
Mr. Brady?
Yes, Madam Chairperson, the Health and Human Services Committee met to hear a presentation about the reorganization of the department. It's a very important piece of legislation. We're going to be hearing that again in more detail at our meeting this week, and then we would like to bring it before a work session of the entire council, so that all members may have be able to become more familiar with what the administration is proposing.
And I think we're going to do that at a work session on October the 11th at 3:30.
Yes.
All right. Any other miscellaneous committee reports? We had an item for, there being on, moving on to item 15, there was going to be an item of overview of financial resources, and we've canceled that. We'll do that at another meeting.
Madam President?
Yes.
Director Rubino reports that the update of financial resources, the final update is not yet ready, but it will be included on October 11th as part of the overview presentation on the budget when it's sent to us.
Right.
So that'll be in 2 weeks.
All right, has anyone signed in for public comment unrelated to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair, no one has signed in to address council.
Madam President,
Yes.
just a point of personal privileges. One of the two members of the nonpartisan, bipartisan Jewish caucus on council. I want to wish everyone a happy New Year, Jewish New Year, which starts tomorrow evening.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I forgot to sign my name in, but I just wanted to say what a privilege and honor it has been to work not only with the county executive administration, but county council. I feel I've had the best of both worlds, and I look forward to taking this with me to California. Thank you so much.
Once again, we expect to hear great things from us. And when we all come to California, like, you can have like a room for us? All right, pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 122.11, the so-called Sunshine Law, council will go into executive session. By going into executive session pursuant to law, the council, as any other public body, is exempt from the public meeting requirements of law because of the nature of the matter needed to be discussed. This means that council will confer outside of the public hearing. These executive sessions are specifically provided for in the law so that public bodies can confer with their lawyers. In this case, we have to confer with counsel regarding pending litigation. No decisions regarding the final disposition of these matters will be made during the session. It will be information only. Minutes will be prepared relative to the number of matters discussed and the duration of the meeting. So we need a vote on, is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Madam President?
Yes.
Uh,
I did. I said it's for matters of discussing a legal matter with our legal counsel.
Yeah, the motion should be a little more specific.
Okay,
Yeah.
do we want me to cite the specific case that we want to discuss? I didn't think that was appropriate.
No, I
just
think,
legal
I
matters,
think that's
right?
fine.
Go into executive session to discuss the legal matters with our counsel.
Pending
That's
litigation.
sufficient. Okay.
That's what I said
Second.
originally.
Okay.
All right, it's moved by Mr. Miller. Is there a second? Or it's moved by Mr. Schron and seconded by Mr. Miller. All right, call the roll, please.
Calling the roll, Mr. Greenspan? Yes. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Germana? Yes. Mr. Gallagher? Yes. Mr. Schron?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell? Yes. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers? Ms. Simon? Ms. Conley?
Yes, we anticipate this executive session to be about 30 minutes, and if all those not involved, please clear the council chambers.